My mother tells me a story I was too young to remember. She handed me multiple color crayons and I would draw on a sheet of paper that she taped to the high chair. She says that when I got to the red crayon that I looked at her in amazement and she was like, yeah, that's what they do. I didn't grow up with a large family, raised by my mom, south side of Chicago, only child raised without a father. And I think in my search for masculine identity, I turned to those natural resources around me in the environment as cues on how to posture, behave, and appear to be a man. I've stumbled forward to figure out how to keep art at the center of my life. Art has always been the thing that has kept me balanced. It's almost a process of building, but I'm using paper in order to describe things like brick or wood or stone. It's a process that I think in some ways is like really complex because there's so many stages to it. It's so layered, but at the same time, it's like it doesn't get a lot more basic than carving a piece of wood and inking it for its impression. About 2 years ago, I received a Facebook message saying, hey, we did a DNA search and we think we might be related. That Facebook message included a photo of me from when I was 7 years old. It was a photo I had never seen before. I met my dad only 2 times in my life. First time I was 7 years old, second time I was 13. And one of those times, he took me on a road trip to Michigan, where I met this side of my family. It was so long ago that the memory was so distant, I almost wondered if I hadn't dreamt it. I responded back, it turned into a phone call, FaceTime, and my cousin on the other end, Paige, was introducing me to her mom, my auntie, and this uncle and that uncle, and it was like instantly I had realized that this was the family that I had been denied from my whole life. And I was so overwhelmed that they were reaching out to me and excited to welcome me back into the family. I was also thinking about my need to understand my place in this huge family. My dad was one of 15 children. To see all of those relationships, I needed to make a map. And the Diego Rivera mural provided a structure for that map. Diego Rivera made the Detroit Industry mural in 1933. It was a commission by the Ford family in Detroit. It's a fresco that's painted directly on the wall of the Detroit Institute of Art. It's like a Sistine Chapel that's like committed to American industry. At the same time, I felt left out of that mural. And by me, I also mean my family who worked at the plant and the black folks that made Detroit possible. There was no update for this mural. There was no reckoning of that history. You know, all of the labor that black folks have contributed, especially to building the Midwest. This was a history that I was interested in before meeting my family, but now that I have faces to put to the history, it just becomes that more real. I decided to remove the faceless white male workers that he depicted and put in portraits of my family, as I figured this would be a good way for me to get to know them, to connect to them through the practice of portraiture. So I would have to spend time looking at their faces. You know, this was also about distance. This was less about objective or actual portraits of my family, and it was kind of more about a portrait of the distance between us. Other works complicate the idea of portraiture a bit, because while I may begin with a source reference of a family member, a photograph, I'm complicating it with these Art Deco patterns and with this collage of fragmenting and breaking it, just thinking about how our identities are also constructed from the materials around us. So that becomes a part of who we are. The 2D work suggests that it's real, that it's in illusionistic space, but at the same time, we know it's flat. So there's something that kind of undermines its proposal of being real, which I was interested in that tension. A mask, for me, is already embedded with the tension. It resists a certain accurate depiction of reality because it's covering the face. When you think about the tradition of African tribal masks, those are designed around a more metaphysical view of the world. The space in between physical and spiritual is abstraction. And then the history of labor, African Americans in the United States wearing this welding mask in order to protect oneself in a factory setting. The welding mask actually hides identity. The tribal mask conjures identity. Now what I'm doing is taking a torch to those masks as an act of kind of fusing them, fusing those histories together, but it's also an act of activating them. The mask is only functional once it's been danced and used in front of people. So my burning of the mask, my torching of it, is a way to dance the mask. Like a lot of artists, I make work because I'm compelled to. It's the language that I know how to speak the best. And the excitement is in getting others to speak that same language as they're reading the work, as they're looking at the work and experiencing it. For me, yeah, making art is almost like a portal into a language that describes things and experiences that have no other language for. Our labor is about certainly the invisible labor that Black folks have contributed to building America. But more than that, our labor is about the labor that I'm doing and that my family is doing in order to connect. I'm learning from them all of the labor, all the love and the work that it takes to hold a family together. I learned from my mother, actually, that family is who you learn to survive for and who you learn to survive from. You know, the Our Labor mural, that was an expression of my generosity to my family, as a way of saying, I know I've been gone for so long and this is what I have to contribute. This is what I do.